Okay, thank you so much for coming to the Temple University Japan Transfer Workshop. My name is Tomonori. If you're a Japanese option, you say Japanese option? I'm your director. Nice to meet you. Of course I know you. So I'm the director of Japanese option. So we have a major in Japanese at LaGuardia. And even those who are not majoring Japanese, there's a chance. So this is open to everybody who are interested. There's a chance to transfer to one of the American institutions located in Japan. He's gonna talk. I don't want to steal thunder, but that's basically what it is. You can have an American education, and then you can stay in Japan. The best part is you can get the degree from American institutions. You can still use your Pell Grants if you have a Pell, so you can get all the benefits while you're studying in Japan. So that's what it is, and we always have a recruiter from Japan, and Ryan is our recruiter, and then he came. This is the second visit to Japan. So he's the person who you should talk to if you're interested. I'm here too if you're a Japanese option major. But today, I think you can hear from Ryan about more details about the program and what's like to be in Japan. Please join me welcoming Ryan.
Thank you. Arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you very much. Thank you for welcoming me back to your school. Yes, I'm Ryan Goulding. I am an admissions counselor for Temple University for the Japan campus. Admissions counselor, and my job is to travel around the world outside of Japan and support schools and students and do different collaborations to help with transfer, or to help students become aware and transfer in if it's the right fit at Temple in Japan. So I've been involved directly with Temple in Japan. We call it TUJ for short, since last year. However, I've been involved in higher education for over almost 30 years. I've been doing some sort of education. I'm very old. Thank you. But something I love about Japanese culture is there's a lot of respect for old people. So I'm going to just drink in the respect because I also live in Japan. So, today my agenda is very simple. I'm going to share some fun facts with you about Japan and about Temple in Japan. And this will be slightly interactive to prepare you. Don't worry, I'm not going to pick on anybody, but I'm going to welcome interaction and questions as well. Chances are, if you have a question, I'll probably answer it in the presentation. However, if you have questions, of course, I can respond to them. Same with you guys online watching. Please feel free to type on your questions on the chat, and then I'll get to those as I get to them. I know this is scheduled for a couple of hours long. It may not go that long.
I don't think, it's not going to last.
So it's Friday. Hey, I prepared material for 3 hours. Is everybody ready? Kidding. No, I'm gonna get through. I value your time. I value my time. It's Friday, but also I'm so happy to join you today and share about what we're doing. It's really unique and special what we're doing in Japan. So I'm just going to start off. I'm going to ask a simple question. Please tell me if any of you have ever set foot in Japan before. I see two here in the room. Our instructor, of course, and then online, give me a thumbs up if you've been to Japan.
That's one.
Okay, we got one. Okay, so it's
Two.
what do the young kids say? If you know, you know. There's some kind of acronym for that. Okay. I feel that way about being in Japan. If you know, you know. It's really, really special. It's a special place. Honestly, I've lived in Japan for about 2.5 years now. I'm from Chicago, but I've lived in Japan for 2.5 years. And pretty much every day I'm there, I feel like I'm in a movie. You know what I mean? You're someplace and it just feels kind of surreal, kind of maybe a little bit magical, just like different. I feel that way in Japan. Whether I'm in the city, whether I'm in the country, whether I'm discovering a new restaurant I've never tried before, whether I'm just taking a walk down the street, whether I'm going to the local konbini. What's konbini?
Convenience store.
Thank you. Convenience store. If you know, you know. The konbinis. I had a moment last week, honestly. I was in Boston, and I had just arrived from Japan, and I got a little bit emotional because I walked into 7-Eleven in Boston, and it was depressing. Honestly, it wasn't dirty, it wasn't disgusting, but it was just depressing to me. I'm like, oh no. I've been ruined by Japan konbinis. They're so great and clean, and the variety, the freshness, the prices. Yeah, much better in Japan. So, I just want to point something out about Temple University in Japan, and that is something really special, unique to your school, and that's your school's relationship with our school. It's not quite done, but we have an articulation agreement happening. What does that mean to you? Articulation agreement is something where two schools basically sign a contract to honor each other's credit transfer, and there's some other goodies involved that benefit the students. So it's basically a special relationship between the schools, and we've been working on this for a while. In fact, since before I started working here, it's been worked on, but it's a big deal. Lawyers are involved, administrators are involved, but the reason this is great for you, in particular, I want to share. Even though it's not quite done yet, if at some point in the future, if you submit an application for admission to see if you can get into our school, if you're interested, it's free. I repeat, if you put an application in, it's free because of the relationship. Even though it's not done yet, our administration has approved application fee waivers for students from this school. That's really nice because everybody else, don't brag to your friends or family elsewhere, don't be mean, but they have to pay 10,000 yen to submit an application. 10,000 yen, you know how much that is, right, in USD?
Like $60 maybe.
$70 or something. Anyway.
70.
Thank you. Anyway, it's nice because it saves you the money. Because if you pay an application fee just about to any college, it's never refundable. It's like, I'm paying this whether or not I get in, for you, college, to please look at my transcripts and then analyze everything to see if I'm admissible, but you're putting that money at risk, right? And I don't like people to have that if possible. In fact, for most students we don't have this agreement with, as a counselor, I try to have conversations with them before they pay the money so I can save them money if I don't perceive they're going to be admissible. That makes sense? So in your case, if you're thinking about applying or if you're interested in seeing if it might work, it's a lot easier and a lot less expensive to start that process. And now that you guys know me and you have my contact information, if you're going to be serious and really consider applying, please still reach out to me, talk to me about the steps, the process, not only the future estimated cost, how you might use Pell Grant or financial aid to help pay for school. I can help you kind of look at all that as well. But it is really cool that we have that relationship with this school. And again, because of that, it just creates a little easier lane for you to possibly do it. Now, why would you want to, as an American, move and study in person, on site in Japan? But somebody give me a couple of reasons why that might be interesting. Yes?
Because if you're in Japan, you'll have to use Japanese as a language. Because over here, it's sort of, an example of this is basically, if you're in America, you're learning Japanese, but you're using Japanese only in your classes and not in like real case scenarios where you're in restaurants, convenience, or anything. I learned this when I went there myself.
Thank you. If your goal is to learn Japanese, or if that's a life goal you have, whether it's academic or personal, nothing beats living in Japan to accelerate that. Very good, if that's a goal. I will add, however, even if that's not your goal, like for me, it's not a goal. I'm still learning Japanese because I live in Japan. It's never been a goal for me. I speak English and Spanish. It's really hard for me. It's really hard for me. But I picked up survival Japanese by living there, and I love it. Like, I love that I'm picking it up. And I've noticed for me personally, as I've tried and made an effort to learn phrases and certain manners and customs and mannerisms in Japan, and shown respect to the culture, I've gotten a lot of love. I've gotten a lot of love back from Japanese people, and grateful that I'm making an effort to honor their traditions, right? Did I see another hand? Someone else? Yes. Oh, go ahead.
I feel like studying in Japan or also in a different country from the United States, it kind of is almost like getting our, education in a college, because the living experience kind of add to the type of person and profession you become.
Thank you. That's really well. That's really well said. I agree with that. When you were saying that, it reminded me of our president said something like this. He said, most of the learning at our school happens outside of the classroom. And I remember thinking about what? Classroom is so important. But I think that's related to what you're saying. It's you learn in the classroom, but also outside in the community. And in Japan, you're going to want to be outside a lot, experiencing that, and again, applying what you learn in the classroom out in the world. Yes, did you have a comment?
I was going to say it also helps you broaden your horizons. You will be surrounded by a totally new culture. So, like, if you're interested in international studies or history, you'd be in the perfect place to learn about that history.
Thank you. So well said. I'm learning about different cultures. We have people from all over the world. Obviously, in New York, we have a lot of diversity as well. That's great. And Tokyo also, a lot of diversity. Our student population at our campus, so we have about 2,000 students, right? And about 40% of them are Japanese, meaning they grew up, went to high school in Japan, and they decided with their parents that they wanted to get an American degree in English at Temple, and so they enrolled. And here's the cool thing for our international students, this is about 40% of them, our international students come in from other countries, and you're in class with these Japanese people, talk about learning culture and learning tradition and respect and learning each other. And even for my American students, even if you're kind of shy, like I've noticed personally, I think a lot of young people, we're a little more private and shy just because we don't want to be, we don't want to feel uncomfortable. Well, when my international students come on campus in Japan, the Japanese students really want to talk to you. Why do they want to talk to you so much, besides you being friendly and good looking?
Learn more about you, basically. I feel like that's also maybe this, but they glorify the outside world a lot, because I have a lot of friends in Japan, and they're like, yeah, so, oh, she's seeing this guy. I was like, oh yeah, from New York, and they're like, oh, that's cool. Basically, like, they very fantasize America as like a good place, and they want to learn more about their culture and where you're from.
Well, and especially those Japanese young people that had an interest in learning English, right? Think about it. These are young people that had an interest at a young age to learn English. They're interested in American stuff, American music, or international music, British, UK, whatever. And then when you show up, you're not a rock star necessarily, but also you're speaking English. And they need to improve their English, just like you need to improve your Japanese, and you want to. So that synergy that we create, and it's awesome. By the way, our classes, average class size is 20. So when you look at four-year schools in America, average class sizes, especially for electives and general eds, depending on the class, sometimes they're in auditoriums, right? They're big, there's a lot going on. Well, our average class sizes are much smaller, so it's nice because you can't hide. If you don't show up to class, everyone's going to know that you didn't show up, and you get to know each other, which is, again, learning cultures, learning about different cultures. And by the way, again, for those of you that have been in Japan and touring and visited for time, when you're in Japan for 2 or 3 weeks, if you're lucky enough to be there for a month, hey, it's amazing, but it's still only a month, okay? Let me tell you something, as someone who's lived there for 2.5 years, it's a game changer to live there. So much different than visiting there or vacationing there, because you get to do the day-to-day stuff. Going to the store, getting your groceries, going to the post office, going to the bank, traveling around. Like, you still do the fun stuff, but you do the day-to-day stuff, and it'll open your eyes. It's opened my eyes. I'm an old man, but I'm like, wow, okay, I see why this happens this way, and why the bank rules are this way. And I don't agree with everything necessarily, but it's really, really interesting, and I love learning that. And remember those friends you're going to make in class if you come to our college, the Japanese ones? Well, what are you going to do on the weekends? You're going to study and get good grades. That was a trick question. Don't forget to study. In fact, if you're there, you're going to have a student visa. You have to maintain your full-time status. The government will not let you stay in Japan if you don't maintain a full load, by the way. So if you're going to get a student visa, you have to have a full load, get good grades. Obviously, you're going to want to do that. But also, you'll have a little bit of time for fun. So what happens is, you're going to know cool places to go, but guess who knows where the best restaurants are? The best karaoke's. The best unfamiliar places that the tourists don't know about. Your Japanese friends. Guess who's going to invite you to their home on the weekend, to their hometown? A lot of our students don't live in Tokyo or Kyoto. They live outside, and they come in, they go to classes during the week, and then they go home on the weekends. How cool. Imagine being able to go to their hometown outside of Tokyo. For those that know, who've been in Japan, I mean, the cities are amazing. They're huge. You get outside of the cities, the countryside in Japan is magic. Even if you're not into nature or camping or anything like that, I'm just talking about 30-minute train ride out of the city, and you're in the mountains, or there's the rivers and the ocean. And I think last I counted, there's 6,000 islands in Japan.
Yeah.
Okay, I got tired of counting. More or less. Yeah, so again, whether you're into going islands or water or mountains, and even though it's compared to the U.S., again, I never comprehended this growing up here. Like, you look at the Japanese islands, it's like, oh, it's so small, it's so cute. Compared to the U.S., it's so small. Like, you can't imagine that there would be more than one kind of weather someplace that's small. It's so blatantly stupid to think that way, but as Americans, sometimes I think we look at our country and think, oh, we're so big. Of course we have all these time zones and weather. Well, spoiler alert, Japan also has all the different weather. Who knew? I didn't realize this. Again, elevations and weather. So in the north, it gets colder in the winter. There's tons of snow and skiing and really interesting stuff. The south and the southern islands like Okinawa, paradise, a little warmer. Tokyo's kind of a little bit of everything, 4 seasons. Anyway, I love it. I love that you have variety there as well, and a lot of variety within Japan, and there is exciting. So anyway, I want to point out something else. I teased it a little bit, I think, is that we just announced this. I don't even have a slide for it yet. Just officially announced that we are opening a brand new campus location in Kyoto. Kyoto, Japan. Again, if you know this, you know this. But the biggest city in Japan is where? Tokyo, right? Biggest city in the world. It's amazing. Our main campus is right there in Tokyo. Well, we have a lot of interest in Kyoto also. The second largest city in Japan is what? Any guesses?
Is it Osaka?
Osaka, very good. Osaka is about 2-hour Shinkansen train ride south or west of Tokyo to Osaka. And then right outside of Osaka is Kyoto, which is, if you know, to many, the cultural heart of Japan. Kyoto is relatively untouched for hundreds and hundreds of years in terms of the structure of the town, the temples and shrines, the nature, and of course that's why it's such a tourist attraction to go to the area. But you'll see why when you go. It's a magical place, and we're so excited. In fact, there's one shrine there. I'm gonna do terrible with the name. Fushimi Inari.
Yeah. Like,
Okay, this shrine. Do you guys know what a torii gate is?
yeah.
The orange gates. Those are on shrines, which is which religion has the torii gates? Shinto, yes? Okay, yeah. I'm kind of an expert now. I'm kind of proud of myself. I'm learning this stuff as I go. The Shinto religion has the torii gates, and they're all over Japan. They're amazing. They're beautiful, very picturesque. They're very sacred for those who follow that religion. And even if you don't follow that religion, they're beautiful. They're rare. So this shrine, Shimi Inari Shrine, is the one with hundreds of the torii gates. Like you walk through amongst them, and there's hundreds and hundreds of them. And so it's really, you'll see it on whatever, social media. A lot of people go there and try to make movies.
I have a little wallpaper.
Oh yes, your
Yeah.
phone screen saver
It was
is
from
wallpaper.
when I was there. When I went there, I took a picture of it with my friends. Yeah, it's a beautiful place. It's
Magical.
raining, though.
I was lucky enough that my first year in Japan, we planned a trip over New Year's to Kyoto. We were there for the New Year, and that on like the New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, the festivals around that shrine were all over, all night, street food, fun party, but also it's a very sacred time. All the stores closed, like grocery stores, everything's closed for New Year's in Japan. And I was really amazed when I went to this shrine area, and all of these families just descended from everywhere. Japanese families, they go there, they climb, they have their prayers, their rituals, their traditions. I was shocked how many elderly Japanese people I saw climbing this hill. I was just impressed with the people, and they were climbing, and they were doing their annual tradition of the family going to the shrine. So anyway, our campus in Kyoto is a 10-minute walk from there. It's right there by that shrine. It's a great location, and for students that are coming to Temple, if you're accepted into Temple, you'll have an option of taking classes in Kyoto or Tokyo. Now, for transfer students, I will say, depending on how many credits you bring and transfer in, your options may be a little bit limited for Kyoto initially. Like, for example, if you started this fall, you may not have the classes you want in Kyoto because we're just getting it going. But I will say that you potentially would have a chance to spend a semester down there, or a year down there, or longer depending on your major. Like, a lot of our art classes are going to be there, right? A lot of art, a lot of Japanese history, Japanese language classes are going to be available in Kyoto as well. And our business stuff too. Very, very exciting for us. And again, a lot of our Japanese students they're from that region, they want a campus closer to home for them. And then for our incoming freshman students right out of high school that have no college credit, they're going to have an option starting next January to start in Kyoto or Tokyo. For you guys that have some college credits, just talk to me. We'll kind of gauge where you're at with credits, and I'll just say, hey, you're going to need to start in Tokyo. It's okay. And nothing against Tokyo. It's our main campus, and it's amazing. You'll love it. But it's nice to know that Kyoto is an option as well. Question?
So what about students who are interested in going but after graduating from here?
Oh, I'm glad you said that. I want to go after I graduate from the community college. That's what I want you to do. Okay? In fact, my information today, I want to really emphasize that my advice and encouragement to you is to finish here. Complete your associate's degree. Like, chip away at it, get finished or get close to finishing it, and then just work out the timing with me on terms of transferring to TUJ. So you could have a semester or more to go here and be accepted to TUJ, finish up your classes, and then and just figure out the timing so you don't have a break in your financial aid and your scholarship or anything else. So yeah, I don't think it makes sense for most students to just cut away and go right to TUJ, especially if you're on a good track. Here, question.
Yeah, I would ask what are the options within the timing between associate and going to the grad school? Like, what's the options that you're planning?
So Temple, what are the options? Great question. So Temple University is a traditional 4-year public university out of the great state of, anybody? Pennsylvania, very good. Philadelphia. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So it's a traditional 4-year school, so anybody coming right out of high school can start there and take it for 4 years. Okay. But not everybody's traditional. A lot of students will go to community college first, smartly, work on stuff for a year or two, and then when you're ready, apply. If your goal is to get a bachelor's degree, then you apply to the 4-year school you want the bachelor's degree from, and you take your credits you've earned and you transfer those. The genius move, again, is by transferring those credits, you have in your pocket credits that you don't have to take at the 4-year school. So you're saving a ton of money and a ton of time by having those credits done. And so it's, as far as options, talk to me. Look at the majors. Let's just see what might work. Because if you're accepted, you could start in the fall, like around September, or you can start in January, like winter, or you could even start in the summer in one of the terms. So it would just be a matter of timing. And by the way, we'll also help you with just getting the student visa. Getting the visa is a big deal in the country. The government, you can't willy-nilly hang out in Japan without permission. Okay? Try to get past immigration without paperwork, you won't get anywhere. Okay? Ask me sometime about my adventure when I have time about accidentally smuggling beef jerky into the country. That was scary story. Do not bring beef into Japan from outside.
There is a connected question for
Yes.
Noah asking, does Temple accept the spring?
Oh, yes. Yes, as mentioned, the question from online, can you enter in the spring? You certainly can. So when you apply, you'll actually select which term you're interested in applying for. And that's where I advise you to really look at your schedule here, see what your plan is, and then we try to make as short of a window as possible so you can end one and start the other. Get your student visa timing correct. Thankfully, we help you with that. You don't have to go to the consulate or anything. There's an online portal where we'll help you submit the documentation you need to have your student visa granted by the Japanese government. Question?
What's the minimum amount of time you can study over there? Because the maximum would be 4 years, right?
So the way the government does it, good question, what's the minimum time? Don't think of it as minimum or maximum. Basically, the rule of thumb is if you have a full-time student load as a college student at a university that the government approves, us, then you can be there as long as you need to be there. Some students might take 5 years to finish because they're going a little bit slower. They're taking their summer off every year. Fine, I don't recommend that. But that's someone could do that. I think that the better strategy is to really focus on which major you're interested in, graduate as quickly as possible. If you want to stay in Japan, stay in Japan. You're going to have a job offer. Like, if you look on the little papers I handed you guys, and I'll email these to your group as well, 96% of our graduates have job offers when they're done in Japan. So even if you're not planning on staying in Japan, chances are you're going to have a job offer in Japan if you attend Temple University in Japan, because employers in Japan love our graduates. Because our graduates, most of them, speak some Japanese and have some skills and have a degree from an American university, and they have an interest in staying in Japan. And Japan has Japanese companies, but also multinational companies that have the need of skilled talent. And, oh, hey, nice, here's an American university in town. Which, by the way, the Japanese government loves. They love Temple. People in Japan, they think of Temple University as the American university because we've been there forever. We've been there over 40 years. So we're the original oldest American university in Japan. Temple in the States, people don't really think of it as much that way. For me, growing up, I always knew about Temple because they had a really good basketball team when I was a kid. So I used to always like Temple for their basketball team. I didn't really understand the history of it. Now I know it's a great school, highly ranked, really good alumni network, and we're in Japan. We're in Italy. We've got a campus in Rome, Italy also. If you wanted to, for example, if you wanted to take a study abroad semester while you're in Japan and go to Rome, Italy, you could go there for a semester or a year. Honestly, most of our students that come to Japan don't do that because I'm already in Japan. I'm studying in Japan. Why do I? But I will tell you, many of our Japanese students, they actually come back to America for a year for their study abroad. Makes sense, right? They grew up there. They love American culture. They want to experience America, so they'll come study at the Philadelphia campus for a year and have that experience, and then they go back to Japan, or they get a job in the States, whatever they want to do. So, who can tell me the name of this structure right here? Somebody else besides show off. It's a really wild name. It's unexpected. Anybody else want to guess? Okay. Tokyo Tower, yes.
I was afraid to say that. I just know.
Skytree, good guess. No, it's not Skytree. That. So online, whoever said that, yeah, Skytree is a different one. It's actually taller. But Tokyo Tower is kind of like the Eiffel Tower, but better. It's taller than the Eiffel Tower. I actually see this building right here? I live there. Yeah, that's right. Every night, if I don't close my curtain, it's so bright, it bothers me. I'm like, oh. I don't want to brag, okay, but that's where I live. I love it. And the other shocker for me is Tokyo, the city, is a little bit hilly in places. And it's shocking because Tokyo Tower is built on a hill. It's just weird. I never expected that. Because have you ever been to Paris and seen Eiffel Tower? It's like this big flat place and Eiffel Tower. Tokyo's kind of hilly, and then there's one hill. Let's build a tower. Okay. Anyway, the city is great. If you're a student in Tokyo, it's a really good thing. I want to show you a couple things about Tokyo. Can I? Oh, I got it. Okay, just to set the tone a little bit for you guys. When you come back to Japan or when you go for the first time, Tokyo, again, it's the largest city in the world. There's so much to do. Best thing about it is the public transportation is so good. I don't have a car there. I don't need a car. Trains and buses are so easy to get around. They're clean. They're on time. My only beef with public transportation is the doors are too short, so I have to bow every time I get in, like this.
Yeah.
That's a personal problem because of my height. You know, some people are like holding on to the thing, you know, riding on the train. I have to do this. It's embarrassing, right? But it's not a complaint because they're so nice and clean. They're on time. Well, you missed the train, wait 5 minutes. There's another one. Okay, really nice and clean. And those of you who've been in Japan know it feels relatively safe because it is, but you still need to use your head. You don't want to be, you know, dropping cash around or whatever. Don't become a magnet for people who would want to do something evil to you. But in most ways, it's a clean, safe place to study and to be. Right now, do you guys know this Japanese word, sakura?
Yeah.
Who can tell me what sakura is?
It's a cherry blossom.
Yes, the cherry blossom, sakura. Its cherry blossom season is underway in Japan. It's the most amazing marketing scheme I've ever heard of in my life. I don't know. They started it hundreds of years ago, but it's just the cycle. The Japanese culture loves seasons. Like, again, we think about seasons in the States, but we don't love them. In Japan, they love the seasons, and every season is a season to celebrate. Except if you're in Tokyo, don't celebrate summer, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Summer, to warn you and prepare you, is really hot in Tokyo. Really hot that you can find air conditioning in the kombini, okay? You need a break from the street, go to kombini, find a karaoke, whatever, find some air conditioning. But because you're walking around so much outside, just be prepared for a lot of heat and a lot of humidity. I recommend carrying a personal fan or an umbrella or both. Okay? If you know, you know. Okay, who can tell me what this intersection is? Where's this at?
Shibuya Crossing.
Shibuya Crossing, very good, yes. And this is, our campus is just 2 train stops away from here. So this is the center of town. It's very well known, very cool. Like you got the busy sidewalks, everything. It is actually, it's the law. You have to be doing a selfie movie the first time you ever cross it. So just be prepared. If you don't, I'm just kidding. Not the law, but it is.
I broke the law.
You broke the law. Don't hurt yourself. But I love this area. I mean, the amount of restaurants and different little cool little places you can go and the shopping. But again, in Tokyo in general, there's so many other places too. And in fact, a lot of the other places don't have as many tourists. And after you've been there for a while, you start to get like me, you start to get kind of snobby, like tourists. I'm just trying to go to school. And they're riding go-karts. There goes Mario on a go-kart. Must be a tourist. I'm trying to work here. Okay, our campus is beautiful. It's in Sanganjaya, which is, again, 2 stops away from Shibuya. It's a good spot. As I mentioned, we're in Philadelphia. It's our main campus, and we're here in Tokyo. We got over 2,000 students. With Kyoto opening up, it's going to, like this building we have here in Sanganjaya, it's a 6-story building full of classrooms, and we're at capacity now. Like we're overflowing. So having the space in Kyoto can help us with that as well. Yes.
I have a question. What is the Kyoto place of?
January 2025. Yeah. So we're already enrolling for it. Yes.
I'm as someone who's not just interested in bachelor's but also a master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
Will the Kyoto campus have majors that maybe the Tokyo campus doesn't?
Very good question, and I applaud you if you have a goal of getting a graduate degree, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because not everybody is going to do it. Not everybody needs to do it. Maybe you want to stop with a bachelor's degree, get a job, whatever. Or you may have a goal to get a graduate degree. So again, reminder, you're getting an American degree. You can get a graduate degree anywhere with your American degree. It's going to be Temple. It's not going to be Japan. It's going to be Temple. So you can apply elsewhere for a graduate degree at Temple or wherever. We only have 2 graduate degrees in TUJ right now. There's a business one and there's a law one, as of right now. I'm sure it'll grow later. I think for most of our students that get their bachelor's degree at TUJ, they don't stay and get masters at TUJ. They'll either go back to Philly and get one there, or to another school.
That's usually the case here too. Like you're usually not going to stay in the same school for the graduate school. Like you tend to apply to other places.
Yeah, I mean, and I love that you have goals, and that's why you want to be really strategic about what major you choose, like what you want to do, because that'll help guide your internship. At the end of your program, you'll do an internship for a semester. In Japan, internships are longer. So if, for example, our most popular major is international business. Our international business major is the most popular. And at the end of that, like the last semester, you'll be assigned an internship at a corporation, and you'll basically be on site every day working for college credit. And then you're getting a job offer. So that's why you want to be careful about choosing that major. If you don't want to do that, maybe you want to do something else, and maybe you do art, or maybe you do communication, or economics, whatever. Very good.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, so the majors, again, like Temple in Philly, we have like 130 majors. There's so many different majors. Nothing wrong with that. Japan, we have fewer majors, but you ever heard that phrase, do one thing, do it really well? So the majors we have are fewer, and they're really good. Like they're really well-chosen, cultivated majors. Our newest one, I'll say, is this tourism and hospitality management major. That's the newest one, and I'm pretty excited about that because I'll tell you, in the last year and a half, the tourism industry in Japan has been exploding, been really, really growing, and since the country opened up after the pandemic, it's not slowing down. Even seasonally, when we thought, oh, hey, winter's coming, it's going to slow down, it hasn't slowed down. So for those students who are learning some Japanese language and are interested in that industry potentially, that's really great. And the, what's it called? With being in Kyoto, that also opens up a lot of tourism opportunities because there's so much going on there with companies and things like that. And this slide's kind of messed up, but it says 3+1 computer science here. Just FYI, anyone interested in computer science possibly? Okay, well, great major, very technical obviously. When it says 3+1, what that means is 1 year has to be in Philadelphia. So that program in and of itself, you cannot stay all 4 years or you can't stay for your entire major in Japan for that one. So if that's a major you're interested in, talk to me about it, and then we can do a transfer measurement of your credits and kind of see how that would shake out. But
there's another online student interested in CS.
Oh, someone mentioned. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for mentioning. Yeah, that's our newest one, and it's been very popular. And I see a lot of potential for students doing that. And spoiler, I'm going to talk a little bit about price in a second on tuition prices. Remind me about 3+1. Okay, remind me. Okay, so our campus, beautiful building. Again, we're in the last year. They keep moving faculty offices out of the building because we need classroom space. So our faculty, they're moving them down the street. They keep buying little office buildings down the street from our campus because we have so many students, which is awesome. It's like there's so much energy on campus, so many happy people, but we're outgrowing, and so we're gonna. Our president, he's great. He has some master plans to develop our campus there and stuff. But it's just fun to be a part of an organization that's growing, has so much energy and excitement. And by the way, Temple in Philly is not growing. It's just kind of plugging along steadily like it has for 100 years, where we're growing so fast. It's just really interesting to me. And I think it has to do with just the excitement of being able to get an American degree in a foreign country and the price. Spoiler alert. Okay, so for international students especially, if you guys come to Japan for college, it's going to be more important that you connect with people than if you're in the States at home. Can you understand why that would be important for your mental health?
You're surrounded by things that you don't know, places that you don't know, people.
Yeah. Yes.
From personal experience, it's very depressing in Tokyo by yourself. It's I think it's also a very common thing of suicide in Japan, where a lot of people are just dying of loneliness. It's so bad.
It's not only Japan, but we call it the loneliness epidemic. It's very possible for any person, and a lot of young people are impacted by this. You could be in a city with a lot of people but feel alone, right? Nobody wants to feel that way. Nobody ever plans to feel that way. So just like here, I know we have the Japan Club here at this college, stuff like that. The more you can participate and be social and stuff like that, even if you're a shy person, I can't encourage it enough. You get involved. Even if it's not something you're good at or necessarily an expert at it, just go. I'll try crocheting, whatever. It doesn't matter. And it's cool in Japan because especially our international students, we'll figure out the housing. We'll put you in an apartment together. You'll have your own room, but you'll have your housing, you'll meet each other. We have a lot of activities. We have a lot of clubs, a lot of cool stuff going on. We even have an esports club. Does anyone like the video games? Esports? Yeah. It's our only sport, okay? It's our only sport. No, we don't do sumo yet. I'm hoping at some point. But We got esports going on. We even have a certificate in esports. There's the kids who are really good at Smash Brothers get scholarships. Who knew, right? Can you imagine? Go back in time. Your mom and dad are yelling at you. Quit playing video games. Wouldn't it be great to say, I'm working on my scholarship? I don't know. Just dare to dream. What's that?
Subway line.
Yeah. Not a QR code. That's a subway system in Tokyo. As long as you got Wi-Fi, you're going to be okay. It's really, really intimidating if you don't. But if you got Wi-Fi in your payment system, it's easy. Just like in New York, you just scan in, scan out.
Nice. I'll say this. I think in Tokyo, maybe this might for film preference, but I think it's much more easier knowing the Tokyo system than in Osaka. It's in Osaka line. I think it's pretty bad because there's a lot of them, like in trains in Osaka. It's like 10 OG, but then there's like 2 of them, and then you take the wrong one, and then you end up in a whole different place. And I'm like,
On the same track.
I mean, it's under the same name because there's 2 ones.
It's like the same as Queensboro Plaza and Queensboro. They're not really the same station.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
I got lost.
Yes, you need to be prepared, or you're going to get lost at some point. I was so proud of myself the other day. This was like a couple weeks ago. I'm like, I'm going to take this earlier train to the airport. I'm going to get there faster. And I got on the slowest train possible. And I almost missed my flight because it stopped at every single station from where I was. So little things, you learn little hacks. If I would have waited 10 minutes more, I would have got on the train that skips all the stops, and I would have been there a lot faster. But again, to me, it's a lot less stressful than driving and being stuck in traffic in a car. A lot less stressful, and it's a lot cheaper too. Anyway, yeah, Osaka is not as extensive as Tokyo, but there's still trains everywhere. I mentioned the dorms. So something that's one of the most stressful things about being a college student, or especially traveling somewhere, is where am I going to live? So we know this for our international students, and we'll basically hold your hand at this process. If you're accepted, we'll help you. You'll fill out a survey with your preferences, but we'll basically put you in a room. For your first semester at least, you don't even have an option. Like, that's where you're going. Because we know from experience, you're not going to have the ability or the resources to find your own place. It's going to be too stressful. You get in there, we'll help you with it. And then after a semester or a year, we have housing fairs on campus all the time. Students, you make friends, whatever. Hey, let's get our own place. That's fine. But you got to wait for a semester at least. And meanwhile, they're great. They have everything you need. It's just everything in Japan is smaller. Okay, don't bring a lot of stuff to your. And everything's cheaper too if you have dollars. So just don't bring a lot of clothes. Buy them when you get there. Unless you're too big for them, like me. That's a personal problem. Okay. You can do homestay. Some people stay with families, Japanese families. Really good way to learn the language and get home cooking. Our mascot is an owl, hooter. Okay, imagine. Okay, so I just want to stress this for you guys, and I'm glad it came up earlier. I'm not trying to recruit you to come tomorrow and sign up for TUJ. I want you guys to continue on track that you're on, strive to your associate's degree, unless you have a really good reason why you want to start sooner, or if you're close enough. I mean, I'll talk to you about it. I'm not trying to convince you either way. I just think you guys made the smart decision to be here. Great school, relatively cheap tuition. The more you get done here, the cheaper your overall bachelor's degree is going to be. Check out something here. Oh yeah, great faculty, like I said, really good, all English-speaking faculty, but they're also very international, very diverse from all over the world, including Japan. And so it's just you get great perspectives on internet stuff. I mean, you'd get great education just like you would here in the States, but you're on site there. So much of what you learn is outside of the classroom, so you'd really benefit from that. Okay, price. Okay, I don't agree that you should always shop on price, right? Because sometimes the cheapest thing is cheap for a reason. And so you don't want to get the cheapest car because the cheapest car is going to be in the shop all the time, right? But we have to pay the bills. We got to figure it out. So the couple of factors that lead to a really good value, I prefer that over cheap. Value for your education at TUJ. If you can get in. As a reminder, you don't have to pay the application fee of 10,500 yen. So, if you submit your application and you're admitted into TUJ, then you can plan on a tuition of about $11,000 a year, which is a really good bargain. I go to college fairs all the time, you guys. I've met college representatives from all over the world. Great schools, high-ranked schools, middle tier, regional colleges everywhere. We're priced on the lower end of tuition. And the shocking thing is if you look at the rankings of the schools and the alumni networks and resources, we're on the top end. So why do you think, where's my economics people, why is our tuition so low in dollars? Anyone want to guess or make a anybody online have a good theory?
No.
Why is our tuition relatively cheap? Yes.
Because everything is in yen, so converting it, it's like everything is much more cheaper.
Oh, yes. I'm kind of bitter. I'm not going to lie. I get paid in yen. Okay, so yeah, yes. So I'm going to share my GoFundMe link later, guys, because I need if you can chip in. Just kidding. No, so for you Americans with dollars. So right now in Japan, Americans are going to Japan to just shop because dollars are stronger compared to the yen from the exchange standpoint, meaning that you can buy more and get more deals on stuff, clothes, video games, whatever, because of that also translates to other stuff like tuition. Because our tuition in Japan is very competitive with high-end universities in Japan. Meaning the top tier, high-ranked universities in Japan, they're around the same price as TUJ in Japan. But where it works out right now, and for the last couple of years, and for the foreseeable future, until you finish your degree, it could be a really, really good value. In fact, I have parents and students planning to send their kids or the students are going to TUJ to save in tuition. Because guess how much tuition is in Philadelphia? Double. Same school. Isn't that wild? Same school, same degree, double tuition if you're paying dollars in Philadelphia than if you pay yen in Japan. And you'll still pay in dollars, you would just pay your tuition. You can use your Pell Grant, you can use your FAFSA, you can use your strategies. You can still work and make money in Japan. By the way, if you have a student visa, you can work up to 24 hours a week. Don't work too much because you need to do good in school. But if you want to get a job, you can do that as well to make some money.
There was a question.
Question?
Oh no, I was just going to say that the price is like that because maybe they want to generate a movement in the economy and also bring more people in that can maybe create some relationship with the country.
Oh yes, it's a win-win. It's great for relationships with the country, and when you look at tuition, you also have to think about housing, right? You might pay that in housing too. So maybe it's $20,000 with tuition and housing, and you have to buy groceries and clothes and everything else. So just when you're planning, in fact, our website, I will refer to it. If you go on our website, there's a really good tool on there when it talks about costs and financial aid. There's an estimator. You can estimate what it would cost you to live and study in Japan. And it's all in yen, sorry, but you'll have to convert the yen to dollars. I always wanted to be a millionaire, and I am now, okay? It's just, I get paid in yen, and it just doesn't have the same, I slap down a $10,000 note sometimes, like, 10 grand, buddy. Can you break that? And it's cool.
So there is a question. how much does it mean per semester? Because they usually
Yeah,
think about
so
this 2
so a
semesters.
year, no, very good question. So a year is technically 2.5 semesters per year. And depending on your, students have a choice on whether or not they're going to go summer term. Summer term's a little bit shorter. A lot of students, international students, will come home for the summer or do whatever. But I recommend if you can fit it in your schedule, keep going, because then you'll be done faster.
So that's gonna be about like
Yeah.
4,000.
Maybe about more or less 4,000 USD per term
Like,
tuition.
so it's almost the same as QE actually. And this one is like calculate 142 yen. As of today, it's like 150.
Yeah.
50 something. So like it should reduce by 10%.
Yeah.
Um,
I need to update that. Yeah, man, I miss those days. It was only 142 yen per dollar.
yeah, we won't miss that day.
Well, here's the interesting thing, just recent economic news. In Japan, things are going pretty well in the country in terms of the economy. Like the yen isn't really recovering compared to the dollar yet, but like lately their businesses are booming. The country has a lot of investment coming in, and including their stock market, which is known as the Nikkei index, has been like it's been going really well. So there are a lot of forecasting happening, a lot of good news happening in Japan right now. So
If you study like little bit Japanese history, that's how Japanese built its like economic power. Right, there was no huge resources in the country, so what they did is they hoarded raw materials and exported it. So in many ways, like cheap yen, it favors like many of businesses because that's how like foundational businesses are built. So I don't think that there's any interest in Japan to push it back to strong yen because it's good. There's a good thing too, but usually weak yen favors like more businesses.
yeah, it's very intriguing to me. Like it isn't necessarily the goal to change the value of yen. It's the goal. It seems like, agreeing with you, is that they just want to be productive and
So
have growth.
Make like a switch cheaper. So
GDP.
Next switch is going to be cheaper because of this, and it sells more.
Yeah.
I saw in the Japan Times they were questioning if there's another economic bubble.
Yeah, well, they've suffered from that. Like in the late '80s, early '90s, back in the day, there was a lot of economic depression.
I didn't get any job. I applied like 100 different places right after the bubble burst. Like I graduated in 1998. So that was the worst time, and it was like a lesson for many people in my generation. So they are very careful about like not going to that level. Yeah, but many people are concerned about it because it's almost like same as like the 1990s because Japan was one of the differences like yen was strong that time. The Japanese economy was strong as well as yen was strong. That's when Japanese company purchased like many buildings in New York City. Like people hated Japanese at that time. I don't know if you remember, because Japanese buying like everywhere. Like Times Square, most of the buildings around there were purchased by Japanese corporates. It was a strong like.
Back in the day,
Yeah, back in the day, yeah. But that's a little bit different time. Or yeah, could be bubble. Yes.
They bought movie studios. They bought a lot. Well, anyway, I love this kind of topic, you guys. Like, we're kind of very scratching the surface about world economics and business, and this is the kind of thing you will, if you have the opportunity to have an international education experience, it'll just open your mind up. And it's interesting for me because I've gained a love for Japan as an American. I never thought about Japan much until 2 years ago when I just ended up there. But now I'm like, oh, now I get it. It's such a cool place. It's opened up. And I'm still a proud American. I'm happy to be an American, like my history, but I'm also happy to know more about the world and the relationships between the countries and the economies and how our economies help each other, that kind of thing. And so just I want you to think, even if you're broke, and when I was in college, I was broke, okay? And being a broke college student is also another way to suffer. It's just suffering. And I'm glad for those college students that don't have to be broke. There's a few of them. But most college students, in my experience, was like there's just not a lot of money to go around, or I may not be getting help from parents or whatever. So I just want you to know there are resources, not only FAFSA and Pell Grant, but there's reasonable tuition. There's scholarships. When you apply, you can check the box and say, I'm interested in scholarships. And even if your high school grades, let's say you're not as proud of your high school grades as you would like to be, you can potentially even you can submit college grades without high school grades, possibly. Like if you don't like your high school GPA, we can just like not submit it and just submit your college grades that are much better, hopefully, than high school, and put you in a much better position not only to get admitted, but also to get a scholarship potentially. And taking an already low tuition, imagine cutting that in half again, and getting a much better deal, more money in your pocket to be able to survive and thrive. I mean, that's what we want. Like education to me, yes, there's a cost, there's an expense to it, but there has to be on the other end of it a reason and a focus. There's a reason I'm doing this is to put myself in a better position for my life, which includes my career, doing what I want to do, etc.
But I have two questions here.
Okay, questions?
Speaking of prices, as an abroad student, one of the things I also think about is insurance.
Mm-hmm.
I have asthma, so things like doctor's visits and things like that I have to take into account.
Great question. Thank you for sharing, and I'm sorry you're dealing with that. Yeah, health insurance. Another great thing about Japan is if you get a student visa to have permission to live in the country, you also will get a government health card. Japan has socialized medicine, which basically means medicine is free or very cheap, which is great. Sometimes there's a little bit of longer waits than you might be used to, which is unfortunate, but it's really nice. I remember one day I was at the hospital all day, like checking stuff out with my leg. I was there like 5 hours going from station to station. I'm like, oh man, this bill is going to be crazy. It was 900 yen. $5. So I can't believe it. Healthcare was really good and really cheap in Japan. So.
There's a universal cap on the medical cost as well. So let's say you got injured by car accident, and then you didn't have insurance, but there's there's a government coverage, if you what's that called,
maximum out of pocket.
Yeah, maximum out of pocket, kind of like here in the U.S.
You're basically a safety net. So yeah, ironically, if you go to Japan, your insurance is going to be much better than it is.
Much better, yeah. Even without minimal insurance,
Sad.
much better.
That's one reason why some students are like, do I really want to move back to the States when I'm done here? I'd rather get a job here. Okay, was there a question online?
So one is, can you talk more about financial aid?
Okay.
I think they mean about the Pell.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so I touched on it a little bit. Thank you for the question from online. Financial aid, yes. Again, American University, so everything's the same in terms of the Pell application process, which is related to the FAFSA. The FAFSA application is the same application that awards Pell. Obviously, the only thing that wouldn't be included would be any New York State program, obviously, because we're not a New York school. But if you qualify for it now, chances are you'll qualify for it in the future. And because we are an American school, it aligns with that. So you could feel good about that.
The second question is this the same tuition applied to non-U.S. citizens?
Yes.
We have in-state and out-of-state.
Yes, this same tuition applies to everybody. And you guys messed up. You're supposed to remind me.
231.
Thank you. A little late now. But thank you for trying to come in with a reminder there. Yeah. No, 3+1. So cool thing is with our low tuition in Japan and our high tuition in Philadelphia, it's like, why would I ever want to go to Philadelphia if tuition's double? No thanks. Well, guess what? If the way we have it, if you're an admitted Japan student and you want to go to Philadelphia, you're going to get the Japan price still. So they honor the Japan tuition price, even on the 3+1 programs. So the Japanese students who get this tuition, they go to Philadelphia for a year, they still pay the Japanese level tuition, not the higher American tuition. They have to do something else for their health insurance, though. That's a little different. But yeah, that's a really nice thing for our students. It's like it just helps you to plan, right? Like, this is what I'm going to have to set aside, what I'm going to need to have available. Oh, and one other comment about financial aid, and you probably know this already, but the more college credits you have, the more potential aid you can get when it comes to student loans. Okay? So as far as Pell Grant, maybe not, but student loans, the Stafford loans, if you have more than 24 college credits, you can qualify for a larger amount of loans. And once you get to 48, I think, it's even, it continues to go up. You just really want to be smart and, don't go into the business of living on student loans that could ruin your life. But just know that, again, since you guys have some college credits, you're going to have different options than right when you came out of high school. It's just going to be a different landscape for you. And so we want to make sure we look at that.
Yes, student loan, you have to pay attention to like a national conversation about what's going to happen like next 4 years. Definitely there's the idea to waive tuition, give the, what's that?
Loan forgiveness.
Thank you so much. Yeah, like loan forgiveness is like part of conversations, and different may not waive completely your student loan, but the sounds like they may end up like doing the same thing as like reaching at the same, like getting like midway somewhere. So I don't think personally, if I were parents, I don't think the student loan would be like worst idea at this point. Like the rate is a little higher, but I don't think it's the worst bet. I don't think, because if it's like you're talking about, I don't have $10,000 just to make this happen. To me, don't criticize me, but to me, like a loan is a good choice to make.
Yeah, and it's a personal decision. You got to be really smart about it.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, one of the worst things you can do in life would be to get a student loan and not graduate.
Oh yeah, that's not.
So these are why we have these conversations at the beginning. Like, okay, really.
It's not that simple as like it's a good idea, but yeah, definitely. But I personally think it's a good timing. In terms of timing, this is a good timing. But I agree, like it's also a good way to win your life.
Yes, very, very good, very good. Other question?
As someone who has avoided student loans completely, are there like scholarship options that we can replace it with? Because right now I'm fully covered without the loans. I have TAP and Pell. But if I were to transfer there, I would get the Pell, but not the TAP. So.
No, you could. So what you're getting now, or what you're qualifying for, again, before we get too far down the road as far as specifics, if you apply without an application fee, remember these are things that we can find out even before you set foot in the country. We can find out exactly what the roadmap looks like for your loans, whether or not you qualify for scholarships. Also, we're going to know about your transfer credits. Like, there's a tool right now on our website. You can actually look at your classes that you've taken and see what transfers. It's a pretty cool tool on there.
Okay,
Yes.
I have a question. The same way LaGuardia has some agreement with some institution in New York State to transfer for the 4 years. Let's say I did 1 year over here and I want to go to your university, and then I want to transfer after when I finish my 2 years back to US to some university. Do you have any relationship with different institutions where I can transfer my credits?
Very good question. Like, what if I wanted to finish up in the States?
Yeah.
What if I wanted to do a year in Japan and then maybe finish up back in New York or something else? I love the question. That's a great thought. Let me just give you a couple of big facts to help you kind of sort this out. Because the more credit you get, okay, it's kind of like you're making a pile. Like you're piling up all these credits to get your bachelor's degree. It's like you're putting them in a big container. The more you get, the more narrow the container gets at the top, and you have to be more specific with the classes you take. Because the major classes, or at the beginning, you can take electives. You can take electives in video games and communications and basket weaving and you can follow your heart. However, once you get to year 3, usually that's when you're into your major. Your major classes I'm talking about a bachelor's degree here. Once you start getting into your major classes, that's when you're going to start having limitations with other schools. Other schools, other four-year universities are going to be a little less interested in taking transfer credits. So like Temple even, if you came to me after a year, if you went to whatever, Syracuse, if you went to Syracuse and were working on your major in economics, and you said, you know what, I want to go to TUJ for my senior year in Japan, finish it off. We would say, well, that's sweet, but you know what, you need to do 2 years. Because we're not going to take this class, we're not going to take this class, we're not going to take this class. That stinks, right? Because then you're paying tuition for the same class again just to have it from the different school. Because schools have a residency requirement. That's what they call it. And it is nothing personal. Because remember, at the end, you're going to have a degree, a piece of paper with the name of the school on it. So the school is saying, we're granting you this degree from Temple University. Your name's on it. You're in the alumni network. So my advice to you and everybody is be really strategic and specific about where you want to get your degree from, the piece of paper, and then kind of work backwards. So as an alternative theory, thinking, hey, maybe I want to travel a little bit, maybe I want to do this, do that. An alternative, a lot of students do this, is they'll come spend a year in Japan as a study abroad student. Okay? If you want to experience Japan as a student, come out for a year or less. Come out for a semester. We have a great study abroad program. It's not getting a degree there. It's study abroad. In fact, you could do it with other universities that aren't Temple. We have students from all kinds of universities coming to Japan on our campus. They'll come out for a semester, have a great experience, and then they'll go back to Syracuse and finish their degree in political science. So if you're kind of thinking about that, again, the bigger factor is, okay, what do I want? What can I afford? What's the tuition going to be? Does Japan have the degree I want? And then, you know, I think, last thought on this, is if you really want to get back to that other school, have the other experience, go there for a graduate degree. Don't go there to finish a bachelor's degree. Go get a graduate degree in that area. Because when you get to the graduate level, after you have your bachelor's, you get even more specific. You're only taking classes that you love because that's what you're getting your graduate degree in. You're not taking general elective classes. Okay? All right, guys, I've gone over time. I can't believe it. I didn't even tell half of my jokes. I'm upset. I might have one more for you, but I wanted to see if there's any other questions. Any thoughts, concerns, online too, you guys. I want to make sure you have my contact information. You guys that are, instructor, you can send the email out with my email address. Yes, question here.
I was just wondering, because you said you're opening a new location. I don't really see my major here. I didn't really do much research.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Is there any thought to add new majors?
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Like, hey, I don't see my major on the list. What's happening? Is it going to become available? The thing I want to do. The short answer is, don't hold your breath. Don't wait for it. If you, in your heart you know you want to do a different major than what we offer, follow your heart. But remember what I just said about study abroad. You could potentially do study abroad, come out to Japan, have that experience, and then go back and get your major. Now, will we add majors? We will. I mean, we just added one. We just added the tourism one, right? So we're going to continue to grow, but you guys, with where you're at in school, we're not going to wait around for that, okay? Thank you. Excellent question. I'm glad you saved a question for the end. It was a really good one. And everyone else is hogging all the questions. You had, sorry guys, this is the best question. Kidding, you're all good questions. Okay, anything else from online? Any questions?
How is computer science at UJ?
Oh man, computer science. It's awesome. Like, so again, it's kind of unique because it's the one that's 3+1, right? It's the one where you can't do all 4 years in Japan, which I think is, I don't know why. I have my own opinion why. I think it has something to do with the curriculum and the hardware. There's something, or licenses. There's some technical reason, no one's ever explained it to me, but you have to do a year in Philly, but that doesn't take away from the awesomeness of the program. And if you're into computers and computer science, as we all know, it's a hot field, and you get a degree in computer science along with the knowledge, you're a hot commodity in the job market. So don't let the fact that you're going to have a year in Philly scare you, because if you want to stay in Japan, you can always come back, get a job in Japan, or go get a job in the field in America, or get a graduate degree. Great question. Well, I hope that you guys can see my passion for Japan and what I think about it, and I know some of you have been and you've experienced that too, and some of you haven't been there yet, but you're young. You're gonna get there. Whether or not you go to my college, I know you're gonna get there and experience it and enjoy it. Well, remember we talked about it, and I'm so excited for you to experience it, because culture. Again, I'm very lucky. I get to travel the world for my job. I've been all over the world, all over Asia, Europe, South America, all over the U.S. And I love to travel and the different cultures and everything. But I have Japan top of my list, honestly. There's something in Japan that I love. I'm going to let you guys in on it. You may or may not have heard of it. Have you guys ever heard of something called Wagyu? Wagyu? What is it?
It's like a type of beef, right?
Beef, yes. So, but it's not just any beef, okay? Wagyu is specially cultivated. I apologize, vegetarians. I'm sorry if I'm offending you. It's the most delicious product. And again, growing up in America, I thought, oh, hey, I like a hamburger or a steak, whatever. I'll eat it. But then I had Wagyu in Japan, just from the grocery store. Like, oh, here's some Wagyu for dinner. I'm going to go make it at home. It's really delicious, not that expensive. It's so good. True story, earlier this year, I was traveling. I was in America, in Arizona. I went to a restaurant. I ordered a steak for my dinner. I cut into my steak, put it into my mouth. I didn't spit it out, but at that moment I realized Japan has ruined me. I can never have a regular steak again after having Japanese Wagyu beef. If you guys are lucky enough to go to Japan to tour or go to school, I mean I'm actually pretty emotional thinking about, I'm going to be 3 more weeks till I can go back to Japan now and have Wagyu, so what am I going to do? Or go to 7-Eleven?
Last semester when I was at culinary major, we talked about it, like the fat in the Wagyu helps. With it makes gives like a melt.
It's marbled, is what they say. It's marbled. It's cultivated in a way. It's one of those little things. Okay, finally, I do have one. If you'll indulge me, one short personal story to share with you guys, and that is that I have 2 grown kids from my first marriage, but recently, about 4 years ago, I met my current wife. She's from Korea. It's pretty cool, and I'm getting into Korean culture. I've been able to visit Korea too since I've been in Japan. So I want to see what you guys think about this. I went to my kids and said, hey, since I'm getting into Korean culture, how about you guys start calling me K-pop? That was the reaction I was hoping for. Online, I apologize. That was my joke, okay? Thank you for being here today. I appreciate you guys. I hope to hear from you, whether or not you go to college. And even if you're planning a trip to Japan, you want some ideas on restaurants or where to go or how to plan your trip, happy to talk to you about that. If you do come to town, also we can set up a tour of our campus. We have student ambassadors. If I'm in town, I'll see you and take you around. But our student ambassador, we can give you the tour in Tokyo or Kyoto if you know you're going to be in town. All right? So
let's thank Ryan. Yeah, let's thank Ryan and
thank you
for his time and a very interesting sense of humor. We have his. So everybody sign up, right? So we should have your email address. And what's the best way? Should I share with you, or should I share your contact information with them?
Why don't you share my contact information
with everybody?
Right
after this meeting, I'll send another email with his information. So if you have interest, there are a couple of questions
Yes.
last minute questions. But
Oh, yeah, of
you
course.
they can probably ask you directly. I think it's more like applies to more like individuals than everybody. So maybe you can directly ask.
Yes, your specific questions about you, about the major you want, whatever, about your GPA, stuff like that. That's a little more personal. Just shoot me an email, and we can either set up a call, email back and forth, whatever. I mean, I'm on the road a lot, but like my job is helping students with the application process. That's the main part of my job. The presentation stuff, the fun stuff, I don't do this as much as that other stuff. So happy to help you guys. And again, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming too. And thank